Vital Signs. This is the Mission and Goals podcast. Radio check over. Hang in there, buddy. We've got you. You're not alone.
G'day, Colleen. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Very well. I'm loving your energy, by the way. That smile, it's just been going since I've met you. So, Oasis, project manager.
Yes.
How's it all going?
Amazing. I love working here. It's been great. I've only been here since February.
Yep.
So yeah, fairly new to the Oasis family, but yeah, love it.
Beautiful.
It here.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It's only my second time here, and the first time it wasn't open, and I just came and met someone here. Mm-hmm. It's stunning. It's like, I love the little setup of it. Yeah. I can see why it cost a bit of money.
Yeah.
Sure. But awesome. So I don't really know too much about Oasis other than its little veteran community hub. Yeah. Do you want to give it a rundown for us and the listeners?
Yeah, so Oasis is a single front door for veterans to come into, and really it's like a community centre for people to come, discuss if they've got any issues with their transition or they just want to find more information. So, it was born from the National Suicide Prevention Trial that John Caligari was chair of. Yep. And it's based on 3 basic principles of happiness: something to love, something to do, and something to look forward to.
Love them.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we have our planners who help veterans and their families, and really the entire veteran community, link in with organisations or different practitioners to help them with whatever they need. Yep. So whether that be through compensation or GPs or allied health professionals, housing, anything. Then we also have our Something to Do, which is our employment and education coordinator. Mm-hmm. And Christy will link them in with the employers, employment programs, help them link in with education if they need to upskill or they just want to find out more information on.
Beautiful, because it's purpose. Yes. From what I found in the veteran community, those who are very depressed and sad and angry and all that, they don't really have a purpose anymore. So that's something to do. It's, I think, aligns huge. Huge.
Yeah, that purpose. I know that, I'm ex-defence. Yep. When I did discharge medically in 2019, I felt lost, disorientated, and I really found that I needed to find a purpose again. Yep. And finding that purpose was, the one thing that pulled me out of some dark places. Yep. Yeah.
Same. This veteran community that is started this year has pulled me out of some dark places too. Yes. So it's not only helped me and other veterans, but it's hopefully help everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, and I'll cut you off there. Number 3?
Number 3 is something to look forward to. Mm-hmm. And that's where I come in with Operation Navigator, and that is helping people to plan for their future.
Beautiful.
So Op Navigator is navigating your ADF career and beyond it. Okay. Planning the transition piece early in your career can really help that initial transition period, 12 to 18 months post-transition, not be so jarring, not be such a big culture shock for veterans. Yeah. We all know as veterans who have transitioned that that first step into civilian life is daunting. Filled with anxiety. It's no longer.
And it's a different world. There's no hierarchies. There's no structure. There's no. It is a different world, and it's very daunting when you step into it.
And I find that there's a piece in there where it's just like there's so much choice. Yeah. You have so much, so much to choose from. Yeah. Which career you might go in, what you might study, where you can live, because you've been dictated where, the areas you can live for so long that there's choice. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That indoctrination, of having that choice taken away from you, and then when you get that choice back, it's overwhelming. Like I've even said to people before, it's like, just tell me what to do and we'll all be happier. Yeah. Just tell me, go do this, move here, study this, I'll be happy, you'll be happy, everyone's happy.
Oh yeah, it's that process, right? Yeah. It's the direction that you have. It's huge.
Because when I got out, I was looking at uni courses. But when there's 7,000 of them, and you're like, they could all be good. I could do all of them. It'd be amazing. Have no idea. And then you sit there for looking at the courses for a month because you still don't know.
Yes.
So that is very daunting. So that's amazing that this is Operation Navigators covering that.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. And so Operation Navigator was born out of Operation Compass.
Yes.
Can you give a quick overview of what Operation Compass is?
So Operation Compass came about as more like a investigation into veteran suicide, really, from the suicide prevention piece. So Operation Compass really looked at how, what are the biggest impacts on mental health, and why were people in the ADF, when they left the ADF, killing themselves?
Yep.
What were the biggest impacts? And transition is such a hard piece for so many veterans, because you're leaving the safety net of the ADF, where you've got so many support networks, your camaraderie. They do everything for you.
Everywhere you look, there's someone.
Exactly. And then to transition out and kind of lose that camaraderie and lose that connection and that identity. There was a lot of times within my period post-transition where I was like, who am I when I don't have a uniform on? What's my purpose in life? What do I have to offer? Because you intrinsically, when you're in defence, introducing yourself to someone for the first time, what is it? Service, trade, your rank, whatever it might be. Call,
It's and then you get out,
and you're like, who am I?
I wore a uniform once,
Yes.
but I don't anymore.
Yes.
And so it's really you do get lost.
Yeah.
It's quite hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you got nothing to go into. Like for me, I did 15 years in the army. I got out and I didn't know what my passions were or my hobbies were or anything. Like my whole 15 years, like I drank alcohol and all that stuff in it. That was my fun, but the rest was army. Like everything I did, I didn't do things on the weekends. Like it was all. And so when I got out, then I didn't have army. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything because I got medically discharged. I sat on the couch for a year and a half, smoking weed, getting further and further depressed, drinking, getting angry, to the point where I was in mental hospitals in and out. And so it's amazing that Oasis is here, Operation Navigator's here, Operation, what was the other one? Compass has happened. I've got some notes when I do the podcast next with John about that.
Yeah.
So what is Oasis doing for veterans and the community now? So this morning I came here and there's a gunfire breakfast and I saw a 2RR, a lot of 2RA members were here, which was amazing. And from what I could tell, veterans from all over. But what are the services that Oasis offers other than like linking health services? Do you offer like challenges? Do you offer grants or community funding? Is there like what else can draw a veteran to Oasis to help you?
So for us, we are the link between veterans and the greater community. So where we don't specifically offer like services in-house, but what we do is link them into the people that are best suited to deliver those things. The biggest thing for us is to make sure that a veteran doesn't have to tell their story twice. That was massive. That was a massive finding from the Royal Commission.
It's huge.
We don't want veterans having to retell their story over and over again every time they walk into someone else's office.
There's someone sitting in this room now that's told their story 100,000 times. And he doesn't want to go to the doctors anymore because he's sick of it.
Exactly. Exactly. Re-traumatizing, right? So we don't want that. We are here to put you in touch with people who are best suited to help you with what your specific needs are. We also run out of the Oasis, we run a lot of social connection activities because social connection is so important for veterans.
100%.
Refinding that camaraderie again, finding that community, and helping to alleviate that isolation is huge for us.
Let people that they're not alone.
Correct.
Like that loneliness feeling, it's pretty.
It is rough.
Yeah.
It is really rough.
Yeah. And you can be alone in a room full of people, and it's It's pretty bad.
Yeah. I definitely found that when I transitioned out, I'd spent 10 years in the Air Force. I joined at 17. I basically grew up in defence. So all I knew was defence as well. And then I left defence, and I was so lost, but surrounded by people who were civilians, a lot of creative people. I really pushed into that creative space, but there was this lack of understanding of what I was going through. They had no background in defence. They had no understanding of the defence life, and why I felt like I'd lost my identity when I left defence and took the uniform off. So definitely that feeling of isolation and loneliness is huge.
Did you move back home, like to your hometown?
No. So I originally grew up in a small country town in northern New South Wales, and my whole family relocated from there. So I didn't actually go home. I found my home in my last posting locality.
Awesome. Good. That's good. Because a lot of people, like veterans, when they get out, they normally go back to their hometown. And normally their hometown isn't filled with other veterans or defence members, or with people that understand so when you go back home, even though you're surrounded by family, you're alone. Because they don't understand. And it's more than just defence life. Like I've been do a lot of research into this. Indoctrination into and for those listening, like indoctrination, brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, it happens. And it's not like a bad thing, because it needs to happen to create good soldiers. Where I'm struggling with is how do we, I don't even know what the word is, doctrinate? How do we unlearn that and then learn how to be a human again, or a civilian again? That's where I'm finding it really difficult. So, and a big part of where I learned that, have you heard of Survive to Thrive Nation?
Yes.
Huge course, just 8-hour online course.
Yeah, I've done it myself.
And the stress relief in that, and we'll go into that. So I've got a meeting Dane Christensen next week for a podcast. But indoctrination, brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, every veteran is, without even knowing it. And I didn't know that. Like, you hear about it, but not to the extent as what I did on the Survive to Thrive Nation course. And so that's another thing that we need to also cover as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a piece that I look at it as, you were a civilian before you joined defence. You had your own sense of values, your own lived experience. You had your values that you picked up from your family, and then you joined defence, and those are all broken down, and you were given the values of your service, right? And then when you leave defence, you kind of have this this internal struggle of like, well, I have these values that my core values of my person, and then I was given these values that maybe I don't really agree with too much, and now I've got to kind of figure out who I am and where I fit in the world, and what my values and things are. And
even things like anger or negativity is, in the veteran world, I found it to be a very negative world. And I don't know what it was like in the Air Force, but for me in the military, positivity is not a really big thing. You don't get rewarded for positivity, but you get punished for negative, bad things. So like everything we learn in a negative way. And then so when we come out into this civilian world, this unknown, scary world, I still am negative to the world, and I think a lot of veterans are. And so like that's another thing that we've got to change, is our mindset into positivity, and we've got to start rewarding and uplifting veterans and those in the community, not even for big wins like running a marathon or anything. If there's a dad who hadn't seen his kid in a month, let's celebrate that dad, like that veteran, or let's celebrate you getting a promotion or whatever, and like celebrate it in the community. I think another way is for veterans is that positivity, because it's so negative, this world. This here seems like a positive place, Oasis, but out there, it's a very negative world. And these are the problems that I don't know how we solve them, but hopefully we can solve them together doing podcasts and long-form conversations like this.
I agree. I think it does come a little bit from that. You're taught to be combative and strong and use your grit and things like that. But yeah, celebrating the small wins of just sometimes waking up in the morning, getting out of bed and going to the gym or going to work should be celebrated, because that can be challenging.
It doesn't have to be celebrated with other people, but celebrate it yourself.
Oh yes,
fuck yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Like, good job. Oh, you made breakfast instead of buying Macca's. Good job.
Exactly.
Or you made Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you another question, because I don't have this perspective, and only you and other women can give me this perspective. Is women in defence, and how were you treated? Were you treated good? Like, this is a huge topic in the world at the moment, is the difference between men and women. There's other topics as well, but yeah, a unique perspective would be nice.
Yeah, look, my experience was varied. Some of my most amazing, closest friends were men who were, my biggest support while I was going through, my medical discharge and things like that. But yeah, it was definitely I always felt the need to prove myself, be, that 1% better than the guy standing beside me, because I had to prove that I could do it.
Was that proving it to them or to you?
I think it was a bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine. You go, oh, you're a girl, you can't lift that. Or watch me, and I'll add 10 kilos. Yeah.
Was it a negative experience though? Like, did you have?
I had negative experiences. I think there's probably not one person who you could speak to who doesn't have negative experiences.
Fair enough.
But those I try not to dwell on those.
Yep.
I try not to make it my focus. And when I look back on my defence career, there was definitely aspects of my career where I was like, man, it would have been easier if I was a dude.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's good that you're focusing on the positive, because that's that positivity we were just talking about. So beautiful. Did you find you were treated, like, just say day to day, do you think you were treated differently, or is it your job, or is it maybe you weren't treated differently, or is it the diggers on the ground with you? Was it hierarchy? Was there any difference?
It definitely came down to personality.
Okay.
I was an aeronautical life support fitter, which when I joined that trade back in 2010, out of 170 odd life support fitters across Army and Air Force, only about 14 of those were women.
Okay.
And the highest ranking woman in that trade was corporal when I joined.
Okay.
So the majority of the people I worked with were men. The hierarchy were men. There was this really lack of understanding between them. A lot of them were old school as well. You get my drift. They were real old school. But there was definitely aspects of my service where I was told that I got something because I was a woman. It may have been that, or it may have been that I was trying 10 times harder than the guy beside me because I felt the need to prove myself.
Yeah, and it's just people talking shit. No one knows. No one knows how hard your battles, your fight, your story. They don't know.
Yeah.
Well, good on you.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Good. All right. Well, I wasn't prepared for this podcast, so I haven't really got much planned for it.
That's all right.
But have you got any questions you want to ask?
Oh, I mean, put me on the spot now, right? I mean, it's only fair. Look, I guess what was your kind of outlook on the females that you had around you in defence being army, really?
My core being engineers, we didn't. When I first joined, there was no females in engineers at all. I don't think.
Yeah.
I joined in 2006.
Is it
Fireys, the firefighters, they had females, and I only knew of two. Kapuka, I had 4 or 5 females. A couple of them had more heart than the guys, because I think they feel like they needed to prove. One was, she was tiny, and she would do anything. Then I think a few years into my career, females could become doggies.
Oh, yeah, 2013 was engineers and infantry combat.
Yeah, it still didn't really have much to do with females. I never had any. I was a corporal by then. I didn't have any females in my section or anything.
Yeah.
I had one female boss in my career. She ended up going special operations. Yeah, she haven't really dealt with females, which is why I'm more curious than anything. Well, dealt with females, like you're a different species.
Sometimes I think we come.
Yeah, like my day-to-day job didn't really have much interaction other than my clerk.
Yeah.
And at one stage I was in love with my clerk.
Very good.
But yeah, didn't really have any interaction.
Yeah.
Good or bad, so yeah, I don't really know. But yeah, the one boss I had, she ended up going special operations as a special at SOER. So that's got to say something.
Yeah.
She really tried, really tried her hardest. You could tell that. She was a corporal in Armoured or something. I can't remember. Anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me to hear perspectives of other services and stuff, because Air Force has always had a predominantly or a higher percentage of females in it, and especially in trades and things like that. So when I joined, I was considered a female in a non-traditional role.
Okay.
That's what they coined it.
Okay.
A
mechanic.
I was basically in a non-traditional role. Yet my mustering involved sewing.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it was very interesting. I saw a lot of the initial integration of women's. Like those women initiatives like Wings and things like that. I saw.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. So Women's Integrated Network Working Group started within Defence.
Okay.
I saw the New Horizons when it first came out, the first iteration of that, and it was really interesting over the course of my 10 years to see, how much the focus on recruitment of females within Defence kind of shifted, and it was good that by the time I left, it was almost probably 70-30, 60-40 ratio of men and women within those technical trades.
Do men and women veterans have the same problems? Like here at Oasis, when members come to reach out, what's the ratio of men to women? Are they seeking the same support? Like maybe other than pregnancy-related stuff, but are they seeking the same support here at Oasis? Is it majority men, majority women that come here? Obviously Defence is majority men.
Yes.
So I'd assume majority men would be here, but is there many women that are seeking help?
There are a lot of women who seek support, and they come to us for I guess slightly different needs. So social connection is a big thing.
Okay.
For a lot of women, they opt into the social connection stuff really early. So that's really great. But yeah, we're lucky in that we get to see a good balance of men and women who are seeking our support.
Cool. Well, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Oh,
but I'm glad that
exactly.
people are coming to seek support.
100%. And from all of your life experiences, seeking help early is the greatest thing.
Well, I wish we knew it back then.
Oh yeah, prevention over postvention, or prevention over intervention. Every time. But yeah, we do see a good balance of men and women here. And like you alluded to, the Banjo's breakfast this morning. I think
there was a few women here today.
There was current serving and ex-serving, which is awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I just went blank. How did you go from fitting life support in the Air Force into being the project manager for operation navigation for Oasis in Townsville.
All right. So that is a big story.
That is a big story. We've got time. We've got time.
So when I found out that I was recommended for medical discharge, was around about October 2018. And at that point I just went into panic stations. This was like, oh my God, I'm losing my career. What am I going to do with my life? So I reached into my civilian network and just started talking to them about what they do. Like, what's a civilian job? Like, I can't do
where do I put life support onto in the civilian world?
Exactly. Because my job is, within defence.
Yeah.
The only options that I had was defence contractor or in defence.
Yep.
And because I physically couldn't do my job anymore, I had to find a different career.
Yep.
And after talking to a bunch of people and kind of working out what I like about myself and, what I'm good at, I landed on marketing and communications as something that I wanted to go into. So I reached out to... They run events called Minding Your Business, Minding Her Business.
Okay.
And that's actually where I first met Dane Christensen as well.
Okay. So you know Dane? Okay,
yes,
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. And I started working as like an event assistant, a volunteer event assistant for them.
Awesome.
Doing a couple of those things, and I was like, yeah, this is good. I like this. I just get to talk to people all day.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep, cool.
Make things look pretty and talk to people.
Yeah, awesome.
So I, you touched on university courses and things like that. I trolled through so many uni course books, trolled through QTAC and all of that kind of stuff, and looked at all of the business, marketing, communications type degrees, and landed on doing a double degree in business and communications with a double major of professional comms.
You went all out then. You went fucking all out.
I went balls to the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, you had time.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah.
So that was something that I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I was set on it. So I decided to take my long service leave. At the start of 2019 to ride out my med discharge and threw myself into full-time study. I walked in as a mature age student at 28 with all of this life experience being in defence into a classroom of a majority of them were late teens, early 20s.
So they knew everything.
They knew everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, it was daunting, right?
Yep.
But fully immersed myself in that student life for that first semester. Full-time study. And, I really found myself realising that I was no longer the process-driven person that I thought I was in defence. I was actually quite creative. Had a really creative streak in me.
I found the same.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
I started painting and drawing and writing poetry and...
Yeah, and that was my thing. I was like, same thing, like I was, photography and things like that were kind of the things that I was starting to dive into, and social media and all of the, there's so much bad things to do with social media.
I'm getting into the social media side of things now,
yes.
like for this veteran group and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that. So a friend of mine, November last year, came to me and he's like, hey, got an idea. I'm going to start a social media marketing agency. Do you want to go 50-50 with me? And I was like, sweet. We went balls to the wall with that. Got a few clients. It just wasn't my thing. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah. I mean, after that first semester, I started freelancing, doing copywriting and content creation and curation for different businesses and creatives. And in 2020, when the world went to shit, my tattoo artist and good friend reached out to me and was like, hey, I need some help with social media and digital marketing. Do you want to give me a hand? And I ended up working with her for 12 months doing anything from, just helping her with her online sales, replying to emails, booking people in for tattoos, and then we did some awesome stuff with her. So her artworks that she was doing, she does hyperrealism, and she's done quite a few portraits of different people.
Just down in Brisbane?
Yeah, down in Brisbane.
Okay. You want to give her tattoo studio a tag, a shout out?
So it's Carla Benziart. She is a tattooist that works out of her own studio on her property. It's
cool.
It's a private studio. It's a beautiful place to work.
Beautiful.
And to be tattooed. Let's put it that
beautiful.
way. And her pet pig Crackles, amazing. Best entertainment when you're getting stabbed.
Beautiful. Yeah, good.
So we did some great stuff. So she worked on a portrait for David Attenborough. She was raising funds for the Marine Conservation Society and the World Land Trust.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that was a huge portrait that we did a lot of content creation for. We went down to Kangaroo Island.
Beautiful.
And, looked at the seals and did some cool shit.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah. And then she did another portrait of Paul de Gelder. So he is a veteran Navy clearance diver. Okay. And he was the clearance diver that was munched on by a shark.
So we were.
Yeah.
We were posted to a Special Operation Engineer Regiment. Yeah. Worked closely with 2 commandos. So we were there when that happened.
Yeah. So we actually.
Not at the incident.
Yeah. You knew about it. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to meet him. He was in Australia in 2020.
I just met someone who did a podcast with him last week. Yeah, sorry. Someone was just talking about him to me a couple of days ago, that they just did an interview with him or something last week with him. So it's funny that you're bringing him up again.
He's an incredible human being, right? Mm-hmm. All the stuff that he's doing now for shark conservation is great. So when he was in Australia, I think it was 2021, we got to meet up with him and do a sitting for a portrait that she did of him. And it was incredible. Once again, raising money for conservation, marine conservation. So that's kind of like this really dynamic space that I was in that everything that I was doing was surrounded by creative people. I was modelling, I was doing hair modelling and things like that. I had, every 6 weeks I had a new rainbow do, and I was known as the girl with the rainbow hair, and really pushing.
Do you miss it?
Oh, look, yes, I do a little bit. I do.
Fly up here.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. That's it. And then I decided that it was time for a change, and I started working with another veteran organisation called Mates for Mates, doing online social connection activities. Cool. Which was great, and it actually made me reflect on my own transition, and really made me process my transition and all the things that I'd kind of been pushing down real deep and not dealing with. So actually watching other veterans process their own transition, their own mental health struggles, it helped me. Yeah. A lot of them helped me more than I felt like I was helping them, to be honest. Yeah. And from there, I was seconded up to Townsville to be the acting regional manager for North Queensland. So
what a life.
Yeah. So what was meant to be a 1 or 2 month secondment turned into 9. And while I was up here, I completely changed my entire life. I started prep for my first bodybuilding competition. I found the lifestyle of Townsville, so much more peaceful. I've always hated not being close to the beach, so being close to a beach, even though most of the time you can't swim at it. Yeah.
It's a beach, that's for sure.
There's sand, there's water, that's it.
You can go there. Don't swim, but you can go there.
Look at it. So I decided to stay, and I took a month off in between jobs, but eventually the team here at Oasis reached out to discuss Operation Navigator and whether they'd be interested, and I jumped at the chance.
That's amazing.
It really was, being able to use my lived experience, being able to use everything that I'd learned to help veterans.
Yeah.
You know, if my life's purpose is to make sure that veterans know that they have support, and if one person comes forward and seeks help before it's too late, then my life's...
It's my life purpose too. To save a life, just one.
Yep.
And it's a good bloody purpose. I've had multiple people reach out to me saying thank you because I have saved their life. Just from look to my little veteran group. Every morning I just post, hey, how's everyone doing? I might put a quote up or whatever. I create some videos, talk about positivity or whatever it is. And it goes to show how lonely and depressed and sad some of these veterans are, that a simple post like that can really change someone's fucking life. It's amazing. So it's a good life purpose. I've only just found one. I found mine this year. It's decided what I was going to do and focus on. So it's good you have as well.
Yeah.
That service.
Yes.
Service. And that's what most of us in defence, it's a service because we're giving our service to the country, and which is our purpose. So if you think about that and take away the uniform, the purpose can still be there. You can still serve your community and your country, just not in the uniform.
Yeah.
And so for all the veterans who are lost with their purpose, volunteer.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it's doing. It could be shaving cats that have ticks or knots or something. I don't know. But something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that can really help. It's just a little bit of purpose. It might be volunteering at an old person's home to... I wouldn't be cleaning up poo, but someone might want to. Or wiping an old person's bum. Someone might want to do that.
And it comes back
and places
to
like this, do you accept volunteers?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We have volunteers here. That we're always looking for volunteers.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and it comes back to those three most important things.
Let's go over them again.
Happiness, something to do,
something
to love, and something to look forward to.
Beautiful. And the... I just lost that question again. I thought of it, and then I lost it again. Sorry, here's another question. What problems are veterans coming to Oasis with at the moment? What's the prevalent things that veterans are struggling with? That the members of Oasis and maybe the veteran community that you've seen, what are those problems? We won't call them problems. What are those challenges that veterans are facing, even in defence and then post-discharge? Can you give an insight into that?
To be honest, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that. But what I've seen is that a lot of veterans walk in the door thinking that they only need help with, say, compensation, advocacy. They just want to get their DVA claims in. But when you really dig into it, you really delve into it, you find that they need help with a myriad of different things. It could just be admin.
Every veteran I know needs and gets stressed about admin.
Oh, 100%.
So stressed.
Yeah.
And if it's hard, I know tons of veterans that haven't even got a DVA claim in because when they see the paperwork, they don't understand one question on it. It's too hard. Turn it off, press the little X in the corner, and it'll sit there for months and months and months, and they won't look at it again. Yeah. That admin is one. Yeah,
and I think it's that overwhelm of there's so many services and things like that. Like when you're looking at getting a Medicare card, going to the doctor, all of that kind of stuff, you went from not having to make your own doctor's appointments to now having to make your own doctor's appointments, right?
Yep.
And that can be daunting.
Yep.
Just walking in the doors and having to basically say your story all over.
Why is it daunting? Do you know, what's your opinion on it? Why? And I'm going to include myself in this. Why tasks? I can disarm bombs. I can jump out of planes. I can do a whole bunch of shit. Yet something so simple can set me off. Why is it daunting to veterans? Do you know why? Do you have that problem? Do you experience? Why is the simplest things when we're trained to do the most crazy, hectic, put our life on the line, not even think about it, to then doing a piece of paperwork.
But you look at the things that you can do. You can field and strip a weapon like without even thinking about it, right? Because
you've done it 100 times.
Yeah, exactly. It's that
Thousands.
process of repetition.
Yep.
That when you presented something new, that's could just be a form.
Yep.
You don't know how to do it because you haven't done it 1,000 times.
And you haven't been shown steps that are broken down.
Like this, do that.
Yep.
And I think it can be really daunting in that it's an unknown space, right?
Yep.
Any space that you walk into that you're not 100% familiar with the process, or you just get bombarded with questions. Yep. It can be overwhelming.
Yep.
So I think it really is like, I think it's just that it's unfamiliar for a lot of veterans. And I know, like, when I discharged and had to go to my first doctor's appointment, I kind of walked up to the girl at the desk with my white card and my Medicare card and was like, I got these. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
But here they are. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then also walking into the doctor's surgery, you're like, what do I expect? Like, what should I be expecting here? This person isn't an MO on base.
Yep.
They may not have the understanding of defence and veteran and my life.
Do you find, like when I joined, and I assume it's still there today, maybe not so prevalent, but it was weak. We had it in our minds that it was weak to go see doctors and talk about stuff. Is that still prevalent in today's veterans, in today's ADF? Do people still have that mentality? Or has the fact that DVA now has a compensation thing, has that got everyone going, oh, let's put in these claims then, because now I'm going to get looked after. I know I'm going to get looked after, and I may be seen weak, but I'm going to get $50,000 for this claim.
I think there's two types of people. And I think there still is that stigma of being a linger within defence, and a lot of serving members are still putting off actually going and seeking help because it may jeopardise their career, their promotion, their deployment. They, like you said, they don't want to be seen as weak by their colleagues. There is still that prevalence there.
I just want everyone to know who's listening, if anyone ever does listen, go see help. Go seek bloody medical help. I'm 35 years old. My birthday was on Tuesday. Just went. And I'm in pain daily. Because I was one of those soldiers that was weak. Like, I remember for 2 years, my whole right side of my body was covered in tape for every bush trip. Just because my shoulder would dislocate, my knee would dislocate, my ankle was fucked, torn all up here, and I didn't. And I really regret it because I'm in pain daily, and it fucking sucks.
Do you want me to add something on the doctors too?
Yeah.
It's also really hard when you live in a town that's not defence, whether they will even take you on or not.
Yeah.
So I've told a lot of doctors my story and they're like, I can't see it, I don't do it yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is a huge thing, is that the amount of doctors that don't have any understanding of the DVA processes.
Yeah.
In that they get a DVA referral and then they hand it back to the veteran, and the veteran's kind of like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
And then they that is such a negative experience for them, they don't go back.
Because exactly, like Jack here, he's my best mate, he's from Coffs Harbour. There's no base in Coffs Harbour. So it's not ADF veterans aren't really there. Like there is some, obviously, because Coffs Harbour is a hometown of some veterans. But there's no support there for them.
Yeah.
And then another thing with DVA is you can get signed off, you get liability for your shoulder, but you don't know what that is entitled to, and not monetarily wise, what medications, what treatments, what any of that, and there's a huge miscommunication with DVA and the veterans, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Oh man, you can
like
go for days about that.
I've got podcasts linked up with level 4 advocates. I really want to get into solve that problem if it's solvable.
Yeah. But you're right. Seek help early,
100%.
and don't put it off, because I did the same thing. I put it off until I was so crippled with pain that I was barely able to even walk into the MO on base to seek help. And that resulted in 8 surgeries over 4 years.
Yep.
And a medical discharge.
Yep. I think I'm about the same.
Yeah.
About 8 surgeries over 3 or 4 years. I think you're up to what, 6 or so? 4.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and because I rarely saw the doctor. Like it'd just be for small little things, like go get some Panadol or whatever, like shoulder sore. I won't say how bad it is, or I'll just go get some Panadol, maybe some strapping tape. And then in 2020, maybe 2020, I was doing PT at a new unit. I'd just come from special operations. I was like, I got put in hard here to show, like, I'd been at the unit for 6 weeks, well, shoulder gone. I'm like, shit. So I like still deal with it. Like, you know, I saw the RAP. I was taking it a bit easy. Then I did my knee, and then turns out they're all old injuries, and yeah, just surgery. So I've got like no shoulder, nothing left in my knee. I've torn my Achilles, all the ligaments in my ankle. I've got arthritis in my spine. Everything's fucked.
Yeah.
Well, I actually just filmed a video. Nothing is broken, everyone. Everyone is healing. Broken is a negative term. Broken implies that it can't be fixed, and we can be fixed, just may have to be repurposed.
Yep.
We're healing. And I've been calling myself broken for a few years now, and I'm not. Broken if I don't do anything. If you say you're broken, it implies you don't love yourself enough to do anything about it.
Yep.
Otherwise you're healing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a process.
It's a bloody long process.
It is a long-ass process.
I've been stretching my hips out. I never stretched my hips once in 15 years of pack marching and all that. I've been stretching them out now. Holy shit, that is for 8 months I've been stretching it, and I've still got like no mobility.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for those listening, go seek help. For mental or fucking physical, either one. Go do it, because it's going to fucking help. And you're not weak. This is your body and your life. Like, I'd rather be seen as weak if people do see you as weak, and I don't think anyone does. Like, I think it's just a stigma and a really, like, a make-believe thing. I've never once, it's a lie, I have looked at people and said they're weak, but they were weak in the time in my head when I was younger and a different person.
Young and
yeah. I actually, in saying that, I messaged one of them a couple of days ago and apologised for how I treated him for back in the day. Not that I treated him bad, but I just could have given him more time if necessary. And I just messaged that dude randomly.
That's amazing.
But what were we talking about? I have these brain farts. Horrible podcast.
We're not broken, we're healing.
We're not broken, we're healing. Go seek help. I really, like, everyone here, the 3 of us in this room are veterans with a combined thing of 35 fucking years. And we're saying, go seek help. Like it's,
Yeah, 100%. And do it early.
Yeah.
Do it early before you get to the point where you're redlining.
Yeah. What I've heard about this, the Royal Commission is it's going to be super beneficial, maybe not for veterans right now, but for future veterans.
Yes.
And that the transition process is going to be huge. And in that transition process, there will be, you have to do all your DVA claims and stuff, which I think is amazing. I think that it should be a 100% necessity before you discharge, because once you discharge, you've got no help.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Well, it's so much harder.
Oh yeah, look, you do have help. You've got Oasis, you've got advocates, you've got all these other, like, there is help, but it's harder.
Yeah, it does become so much harder. But yeah, I think that the Royal Commission has done wonderful things in helping the next generation of veterans.
Yep.
You know, us being in our early 30s, you know, we've probably seen the defence go from, you know, what it was to what it is now. And
it's a huge, even in my time, it's a huge fucking change.
Huge change in the suicide prevention and awareness, mental health, you know, the support around help-seeking behaviour is actually getting people to put their hand up. And
the more we come out and talk about it,
yes,
the more beneficial it's going to be. Because even amongst my personal friend group, we don't really talk. Like, we do talk, but we don't talk unless something's gone really wrong. Like, yeah, talk about it. It's good to get it off the chest instead of bottling it up. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you as well.
Thank you. I don't know where I'm putting all this up on yet. Probably YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. But I will give everyone the link so we can watch it and yeah, laugh at ourselves and yeah,
Sounds
awesome,
good, mate.
awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.